Hi everyone, I'm back. I'm Rose and my channel is Journey to Joy. I'm on a trip again in Penang today. Waiting, I have to leave about 2:30. It's now about 11:40. So I have to leave at 2:30 to start picking my people up and head back for home. I kind of like these trips because they're not that far from home and I'm home the same day. So anyway, it's been a while since I made a video. I didn't want to be one of those channels where I'm just posting a bunch of fluff and being silly. I want to have something to say that matters, that helps. I feel like God's led me to speak about my experiences and hopefully help somebody. Something I say might help just one person who's like searching for help. But like I said in my previous two videos, your first step would be to ask God for help if you're struggling, like I was for a long time. And I'm still a work in progress, you know, baby steps, but I'm getting better. Like right there, right here, the way I look and everything, I would have never been caught dead years ago, you know, being in public or, you know, without makeup or my hair done. But that's one thing good about, I guess, hitting bottom. I stopped caring about and worrying about what everyone else thought. So this is me without hair and makeup. Maybe someday I'll be motivated to do my hair and makeup so you can see what I can look like when I spruce things up a little. Um, so anyway, I believe in let your mess be your message. And like I said, I just want to help people with my experiences. I am very experienced in my own life, nobody else's. I'm definitely not an expert in anything except my own life. I can just share my experiences, what didn't work, what did work, and if anybody takes anything from that, great. You know, I'm just here to help. That's why it's been a while since my last video. I thought about doing one here and there, but then I just didn't feel ready, didn't feel like what I had to say was like organized. So today's video, it's kind of connected to joy because like before, like when you're not joyful, you're kind of like, I don't know, you're living in the past a lot. I was living in the past quite a bit for a long time, and that stole my joy. I wasted a lot of time. So I had a lot of questions, like, and maybe you do have these questions now, but I used to have these questions. Like, who's to blame? Like, who's to blame for all your issues or all the problems in the world? Why are we here? Why are we on Earth? What is our purpose? What are we meant to be doing here? Why do bad things happen to good people? Why do good things happen to bad people? Yeah, so I figured I would talk about some of those things, like who's to blame. I've come to the point now, I believe that there's no one to blame, really. I mean, I spent years blaming, you know, people that took care of me in my life. You know, they didn't do this or they did this and that messed me up, and you know, but it's easy to get stuck in the past. I finally had to like put myself in most people's shoes and realize that they really were just doing the best they could, you know, even when they didn't treat me the best. You know, it could have been better. Yes, it could have been way worse. As I've gotten older, I've realized that there's a lot of people that have experienced really bad upbringings and gone through a lot of trauma. And you know, my childhood wasn't perfect, and as a result I made a lot of poor choices in my 20s and 30s, even 40s. You know, and it's sad that, you know, it took me this long. I'm 58, or gonna be 58 soon, and it's taken me this long to finally work on, you know, discovering what I was supposed to be doing and, you know, how to be joyful. So yeah, I put myself in the shoes of the people that were supposed to care for me and realized that they weren't taken care of properly, you know, and they had good intentions, but you can't help but learn what you live, you know, and then you repeat that, you know. I mean, and everybody does a little bit better with each generation. I definitely wasn't perfect in raising my son and the children I have now that my husband and I adopted. But I also know that I could have been worse. I could have been a lot better, but I wasn't perfect. But I did. My son had love. He had food. He had shelter. He had good schools. He's had good friends, and he's doing really well in life. And yes, there were things that I did wrong, and there's reasons for those. But I know he loves me and forgives me. And my children that I have now, I wasn't perfect. I kind of gave into things I was going through at the time. Some of the children we adopted, they had their trauma that they experienced, so they acted out, and I didn't really know how to handle that. So I wasn't the perfect parent for them when they needed it. And, I have gotten better and tried to make up for a lot of it. But, again, it could have been worse. It could have been better with me, but I do think I still am giving my children a good life. My son, my youngest, we adopted him as a baby, and he's almost 9 years old now, and he's a happy little guy. I mean, he does have ADHD and some learning delays that he needs to work through, but I do feel like we've given him a good life. He has a warm, nice home that he loves, and he loves me and his dad, and he gets to be with his siblings. He plays, he loves, well, he doesn't really love school, but he loves the people at school. He loves the teachers and all, but he kind of wants to do his own thing. He's stubborn. But, he's got all the food he wants to eat. He's got a nice house, got devices to play on, TV. He's got a big yard to play in. So he's doing well. So is my daughters. My one daughter is about to graduate, and my younger daughter is almost 12. And, I try to give him the best life I can, but I'm like a lot of people. I mess up, I yell, I curse, and I regret it, wish I didn't. I apologize when I know I'm wrong. I struggled the other morning getting my son ready for school, and I was kind of mean. And I was dropping him off to school that morning, and I told him, I said, I'm sorry, I was kind of mean this morning. And he's like, it's okay, Mom. Kids, they're so loving and forgiving. He was over it already. So anyway, I feel like there's no one to blame. We're all doing the best we can, even the ones that you think, I feel like, have done the most horrible things in life. There's reasons why, whether it's something wrong with their brain chemistries, there's mental illness, there's abuse that causes mental illness. I mean, there's always reasons, and it's sad and it's bad that people do the crimes that they do, but again, who do you blame? You got to understand and forgive. I think even those people are doing the best they can. So for me, forgiveness was key, definitely, in moving forward and being joyful, forgiving others and forgiving myself. And honestly, forgiving myself was way harder and took longer than forgiving others, because I can empathize with other people and what they're going through and put myself in their shoes and say, yeah, they probably had this happen or that happen, and this is why they did this. But the things that I did and said that hurt people, it's like you can't really make up for it. You can apologize, but for the most part, those people don't want to be around you anymore if you hurt them, and you can understand why. There's trust issues, and so I just have to move forward. I can't stay stuck in the past. I had to forgive myself, give myself some grace for once. I'm doing the best I can with this life. And so that brings me to another question. A lot of us ask, like, why are we here? Why are we on this earth? What is the reason? And my views and beliefs have changed over the years, and maybe you have certain beliefs, or everybody's got something different they believe in. If you talk to my husband, he would say, I'm just here to work and then die. Work and live and die. You think that's it? And my son, he says he's an atheist. He doesn't believe in anything. He's just living his life and doing what he enjoys, and he's happy. And I don't feel like God wants us to be out there like harassing people. If people feel like that's what they're supposed to be doing, standing on a street corner with signs, and yelling and like you know, Jesus, you better get right with God and all that. Okay, you know, if that's what they believe in, that's fine, you know, but I don't feel like it's my job to try to convince somebody, you know, because if somebody's not ready, they're not ready, and it's not going to matter what you say or do. Like in my teen years, you know, my sister told me a few years ago that, you know, because I had lived with her for a time when I was a teenager, and I was difficult, and she was really young. I mean, she was like in her 20s, and she was a young mother, and she wasn't in the best marriage, and, you know, at the time, and, you know, I was difficult, so I don't blame her for anything. She did a lot for me. But she told me a few years ago she wished she'd done more to help me. But the honest truth is, she could have gave me a free house and all kinds of money, and I wouldn't have to do anything, and I still would have been miserable because I wasn't ready to accept how I was or to change, and it didn't matter what anybody said or did. Like internally, I was not happy, and only I could change that, and only God could help me to change that. So there is no one to blame. I'm actually grateful. I'm so grateful. My sister was one person in my life that I could always count on. And I think if we all just had that one person, it would just help us get through so much, you know? So, and that's another thing. Like, if you're just feeling like you're surviving day to day and you're not thriving, then, you know, try to have the courage to change that, to figure out what's going on, why it's like that. Ask God for help and try to make baby steps towards doing better. Don't give up. Hang in there. Like I said before in my other videos, you know, don't give up. Keep trying to be joyful. I'm finally happier. I mean, I don't look the greatest, and, you know, I'm not in the best shape, but I'm working on it. You know, I'm a work in progress, but I'm finally starting to feel happy, and I'm enjoying my life every day. I make my to-do list and my plans for every day, and I get most of it done. I don't always get all of it done, but I'm not going to be hard on myself because I didn't get it all done. Anyways, I digress. Another question would be, what is my purpose? And over the years, you know, I tried so many different things, but really I think our purpose isn't really what we do or what we say. It's more like, I think we're all here for the same reason, honestly. And what we do is different from who we are. And so, like, I drive Amish part-time, and that's how I make money. That's how I'm able to do things with my kids and, you know, buy food and groceries, or, you know, what we need, go out to eat, go do fun stuff. But that's just what I do. But I feel like my purpose is more than that. And we're all here for, I believe, the same reasons. But I think we all get lost. Like, we come here and then things happen, you know, and we don't know. If we don't have the right guidance and we're not taught about God early on and what it's really about. I mean, I grew up Catholic, but I didn't understand anything. But, you know, I would walk into the Catholic Church and see all the statues and Jesus up on the cross, and, you know, Mary, the Mother of God, and St. Joseph, and I would be in awe of the statues. And like, I went to catechism classes to get my first communion, and, you know, I learned about Jesus and who he was and all, but I really didn't understand what anything was about, you know, not until like later in life. And then I went to several different churches. I felt like I really need to go to church. And now I've come to the point, like, no, we need to know God. We don't need to memorize the Bible. We don't need to be going to church if that's not in us. Like, I have like so much anxiety. I think it's good for community and for helping others, but I mean, but that's just my opinion. Everyone's different, like I said. But my views on why we're here has changed definitely over the years. I'll tell you about an experience I had early on in my faith. When my faith was just starting to grow, and I was out in my driveway one day having a cup of coffee, and it was a beautiful day, and I live in a beautiful area, and I just said, thank you, God. Thank you for this beautiful day. Thank you for blessing me with this, my little piece of heaven. And I clearly heard him say, bring as many people to heaven as you can. And honestly, I didn't really know what that meant, like literally at the time. God's, I feel, has spoken to me a few times in my life, but whenever he does, it's always like concise and clear and to the point. Okay. I've also had some visions of different things when I've needed them the most. I've had dreams and I've had a couple visions. But I remember standing there in that moment. I was like, and this was before I was doing foster care. I was still working in a restaurant. I might have been going to college at the time. I'm not really sure, but I was just like, I heard that, and I knew it wasn't me saying it to myself. It was just, I heard it in my head, like, huh? And so then I thought about that for years, like, bring as many people to heaven. Does that mean like bring people to my house to live, like foster care? And honestly, I thought that for a long time. And then, but now I've started to realize, I think it's about teaching other people to have joy and about God, that you can have a relationship with God and you can be happy. And that's what heaven is. Like, you can have heaven here on earth, and obviously I believe when we leave this physical body, we're going to be in heaven, where we belong. And that's why I believe that we're all here on the same journey, you know. And so why is it that some people are born into like a wonderful family, they have a wonderful life? You know, I don't believe it's about wealth or anything like that. It's just, you know, it's how you're brought up, and you're happy and you've got it all going on. And but then there's other people that are born into abusive families, or they're born drug addicted, or, you know, I don't know, they have issues that make it more difficult in life, you know what I mean? So why is there such an extreme to that? You know, some people take years to overcome all that, and some never overcome it. And then some people are doing great. And then there's some people that are doing great that realize, you know, I've been blessed with all this and I need to pay it forward. Like, and they do stuff to help others. And they finally realize, yeah, that's what I'm here for. It's not making all this money and being, you know, famous and popular and all that. It's about helping other people that need it, that are the ones that are struggling. So, like, what if everybody was doing great? You know, they wouldn't need to help each other. What if everybody was doing really bad? You know, we need those people that are doing good to help us. You know, I've had so many loving, wonderful, helpful people through my life. Thank God, because it's what's brought me here to this day. And some of those people are still in my life, and most of them aren't, you know. But I've had several really good friends through my life, from early childhood to adulthood. And I'm so grateful for those people that loved me, you know. And I had so much love through the years that I pushed away because I had my issues, and I've since worked through a lot of that. So anyway, my point was, I believe we're all here for the same purpose, to help others, you know, to find our own joy, to make peace with our past and move forward and be joyful, and then try to help others. Like, this is why I'm doing this channel, is to share my experiences and my views and tell people, you know, get yourself right and then try to help somebody else. You know, because I think that's what this life is about. I think we come here with all of us with the same purpose, to help and love and be kind, and we get lost sometimes in this world because it can be cruel, and we're hungry, or we're abused in so many different ways, you know, mentally, sexually, physically. I mean, and it traumatizes us, and it keeps us stuck in the blame game, or the I'm feeling sorry for myself game, or, you know, we're stagnant, you know, we get anxiety, and, you know, and it could take years to overcome that if we do, you know. So anyway, what was my point? Oh, that's what comes with age, you know, I kind of lose my train of thought. But anyway, so I believe that we're all here for the same purpose, to help other people in our journey and to enjoy our journey along the way, you know, make money. There's nothing wrong with making a lot of money and having nice things. It's when we get addicted to those things and we can't be joyful without having those things. Yes, it does make things a lot easier, but if you feel like you can't live without those things, then that's where the unhappiness comes in. So I had to work through that too. For a long time, I had like a scarcity mindset where like I was afraid to let anything go, but I also didn't have much then. And now I'm like, if I get a nice thought in my head, I want to act on it right away, because if I don't, then that's fear kind of getting in, taking over. So if it's like, if I'm driving down the road and I see a homeless person with a sign begging for money, I used to be like, my first thought was to judge people. But it's really none of my business why they're doing what they're doing. And so if I have money to give, I'll give it to them. I won't talk myself out of it. And I'll send up a prayer for this person. I don't know why they're like they are. But I know that wouldn't be my goal in life, to stand on a street corner and be judged by everyone and hope someone gives me some money so I can buy food. Maybe they're going to buy drugs or alcohol. And I've kind of changed my views on that too. It's not the best thing, but maybe, that's what helps them get through the day, is getting drunk and passing out. And there's a country song that I can't remember what the name of it is or who sung it, but it came out years ago, and it was just about that. Like, somebody woke this homeless guy up to help him, and he was like, he went through, I was just, running through field or whatever, and I was almost there, I was almost home. Like, he was recalling in the happy times in his life, and that's the only time he felt joy, was when he was asleep and he was dreaming and reliving the happy times. And like, hey buddy, you woke me up. You ruined it, Wish I could think of that song. Maybe in my next video I'll figure out what that song was. But I always think about that now when I see homeless people on the street begging, It's like, I don't know what their story is, but that's none of my business. If God tells me, give them some money, those blessings come back to me 10 times whatever I gave that person. I remember one time I was on a trip in Pennsylvania, and I was parked at a Sheetz convenience store waiting for my people, and there was a guy sitting in the intersection with a sign, that said anything would help. And I thought I had bills on me, and I looked in my wallet. I didn't have any bills, and I'm like, I really wanted to give him something. And I'm like, I don't really have anything. And I had this big container. It was bigger than this, but I got these at Dollar Tree. I keep like my loose change in them. So anyway, I had a big one, and it was full, but it was all loose change. I don't know how much, maybe $4, maybe $5. That's all I had. So when I was leaving, I pulled up to the intersection, and I was like, here, this is all I have, but you can have it. You can even have the container it's in, and he was grateful. Thank you, God bless you. And like, every time I donate, they all say thank you and God bless you, and I just imagine, like, we think, I used to be like, because of the people that taught me, I grew up with people that were like, oh, you lazy bum, go get a job. People would drive by, yell out the window, get a job, you loser, and I'm not giving money to that person. They're just gonna go buy drugs with it, or alcohol, or whatever, But now I feel like that's none of our business if that's what they're gonna do. And maybe that lesson is teaching us something, to not be judging someone like that. What led them to decide to do that? Maybe that is the best they can do, and maybe they're teaching thousands of people that drive by. Imagine that. I'm sure there's some people that go by and don't even notice them because they're lost in thought, or whatever they're doing, they don't even realize. They're just so used to seeing someone begging that they don't even think twice about it. And then there's others that see them, and then they think like, yeah, I'm not giving my hard-earned money. Go get a job, you loser. Or you're gonna do drugs. I'm not giving my money to that person. And then there's others that feel compelled, like I usually do, and I pull up and I give them something, and I'll say, God bless you, send up a prayer. None of my business why you're like you are, but I wish you all the best. But how many thousands of people are driving past these people and judging them in one way or another? So who's teaching who? Like, this guy is out there begging, and he probably don't even realize that he's teaching life lessons to these people, you know, because I don't think God wants us judging people. I think God wants us to help these people in whatever way we can, you know. And you yelling, go get a job, isn't going to help them. You know, maybe they're not mentally capable of having a job, and that's what they're capable of. You know, I would do better working in a job than I would standing on a corner being judged by a ton of people with my anxiety, you know. So anyway, so that's my take on that. Yeah, oh, I had another funny experience. Like, every now and then I'll go by the food pantry that's close to my house and I'll donate money. And it just happened one day that it was the food pantry day, because they have certain days and times, and there was this long line going around the building, and I didn't really want to go inside, but I just wanted to donate some money. And I thought I had 20s in my purse, and honestly all I had was a $50 bill in my purse. And the thought came, it was like, yeah, I was feeling compelled for some reason to go there and donate that day. And I pull in and I look, and all I got's a 50, and I'm like, oh. Started talking myself out of it. I was like, do I really want to give a 50? And I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna do it. I'm not going to talk myself out of it, because I finally changed how I think. If I think something good, I try to act on it right away instead of talking myself out of it. So anyway, I pulled up these line of people, and I wanted to just give it to one of the people to give to the people that worked in there, because they weren't open yet, but the people were lined up to get, you know, their food items or whatever. And none of them would take that money. Like, so they were knocking on the door to get a worker to come out. And I was like, no, you don't have to do that. I just don't have time to go inside. And I didn't really. I had to be somewhere. So anyway, a worker finally comes out, and you could tell she was irritated. Like, we're not ready. We're not open yet. And they're like, this woman wants to give you money. And like, so someone came over and got the 50 and went to give it to her. And then this guy in line yells out, and he's like, yeah, make sure you give it to the people, the right people, and don't pocket it. And I'm laughing. I'm just like, okay. So I gave it, and then I drove away. You know, it's none of my business. Maybe the woman did pocket it, you know, but that's her lesson in life too, you know. I've always told my kids, you know, I heard this years ago, I don't know where I heard it, maybe it was an Oprah show or something, but if you give a gift to somebody, it's no longer yours to decide or judge how that person uses it. You gave it to them, it belongs to them now. So whatever they do with it is what they do with it. So hopefully she brought it into the organization and they were able to buy more food to help more people. But if she pocketed it, maybe she needed it for something she needed it for, but it's none of my business anymore, because I gave it away. So anyway, there's that. And then another question I always have is, why do bad things happen to good people? And why do good things happen to bad people? Why is that? I think that's just another thing in life. Like, I don't know. We're here to help people, and we're here to realize why we're here to help people. So I think people doing bad things and still having a good outcome is because, honestly, maybe they don't have a conscience, and they don't feel like, I think once you start feeling like guilty or like you need to change or you want to change, that's when, you know, things start coming about. And God will bring about, like, you know, disciplining you in whatever way, you know, teaching you lessons. Then some bad things might happen to them. But some people, you know, look at the serial killers out there that go their whole life and never get found, you know, probably because they don't feel guilty or anything. They don't realize they're doing anything wrong, or, you know, I mean, that's just my opinion. I mean, why do bad things happen to good people? And then I think, how many things have led to things helping more people? Like missing children, for instance. It's a horrible thing. You know, there's this wonderful, loving family, and all of a sudden their child goes missing, you know. And how many times did that happen before somebody created an organization to help people find their children? You know, I mean, it's sad to say that it took this happening over and over and over before someone finally worked through their grief to make something happen. All the organizations, Mothers Against Drunk Driving, Students Against Drunk Driving, DARE, the drug, you know, task force. So all of these things, you know, wearing seatbelts. Seatbelts save lives, you know. All of these things came about because certain things went on for so long. Bad things kept happening to good people. And finally someone did something about it. So maybe that's sometimes what happens, you know. Bad things keep happening until someone finally says, no, it's enough. We got to do something, you know. So that's my take on that too. Anyway, this has been a long video. As Joyce Meyer said, enjoy the journey on your way to where you're going to, or something like that. I'm paraphrasing. But anyway, try to enjoy the journey, you know. I don't believe we're all here just to be miserable and suffer. If you have had a messed up life, like, let your mess be your message, and that's pretty much what I'm doing. Maybe at some point I'll give details of things that happened to me and what led me to be and think like I was, and my ultimate reason. There's many reasons for why I was like I was, but the ultimate reason that I say is I had a crazy mind. I had a crazy way of thinking about everything, and until that changed, I couldn't change, and it wouldn't matter what anyone said or did. It wouldn't have changed until I was ready to acknowledge all of that. So anyway, God bless you. Have a great day. If you're struggling, hang in there. Don't give up. Turn to God first for help, and He will lead you to whoever it is that He knows is right for you to help you, that will say the right thing. Okay? God bless you. Have a good day. Thanks. Bye.